Waveform is brought to you by Moment. Looking for a last-minute gift for the creator in your life? With bags, cases, gimbals, drones, lenses, filters, tripods, and more, Moment makes and carries some of the best products of 2019 for photographers and filmmakers. Moment only sells the gear that they personally use as creators, and if you've seen the Moment YouTube channel, you know they are passionate about high-quality gear. They also have over 30 brands in stock with some of my favorites like Peak Design, DJI, and Rode. They offer fast and free shipping worldwide, a lifetime warranty on all Moment products, and 24/7 service from pro photographers and filmmakers. So for Waveform listeners, they are offering 10% off your first order with coupon code Waveform. And their last day to order for delivery by December 25th is December 19th for international orders and December 23rd in the US. So head over to shopmoment.com/waveform and use coupon code Waveform for 10% off your first order. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Waveform podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marques Brownlee.
And I'm Andrew Manganelli.
So today we're going to start with a little recap of some of the bigger projects we did over the last few weeks, and then talk about a certain little iPhone rumor that we've heard about. And then after that, I had a chance to sit down and catch up with Kevin O'Leary, better known as Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, my favorite shark, and have a quick chat with him. And then we're going to go wrap it up with Andrew and I giving you a few tech gift ideas for the upcoming holiday season. Although, let's be real, you probably should be pretty close to done with that. Either way, it's Waveform. Let's get into it. All right, so why don't we go ahead and jump right in with our recap since the last episode. First of all, have you done anything special since the last episode?
Maybe. Actually, this recap might help me just as much because I've missed half of these videos. Yeah, I got married.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. And you went to some crazy exotic place for a while. And
we went to Belize.
You definitely had it nicer than our snowy, like, sort of wintry mix here. Dude, so I'm jealous of that.
I flew back into that. Like, it was a hard flight back into reality after all of that. But yeah. Getting married. It's awesome.
It's a fun time.
I'm pretty stoked. This ring is really strange. I play with it all. Like, who needs a fidget spinner? Just get married.
Just have a ring on your... Does it change the way you, like, use your phone or, like, hold electronics or anything weird like that? Or just still
I haven't done that so much yet. Typing was, like, a little strange at first. I feel like I use that finger a lot. Also, every time I hold my water bottle now...
metal on
it's
metal.
Probably terrible for the ring. I've scratched it a lot. But getting married was super fun. Belize was super fun.
Nice.
Thank you for coming again.
Yeah,
if anyone's really that interested, I posted a few pictures on my Instagram. We had a crazy talented photographer. I do have to say that.
Shout out to Steve.
Steve was awesome. I have to say, if you're going to spend some money somewhere, spend it on the thing that's going to help you remember the event that you spent a ton of money on and you just want to, because it goes by so fast. And yeah, our photographer Steve was amazing, and the pictures came out incredible.
That's a memory you'll have forever.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we had a couple tech things happen since then, but I'll go over some stuff on the channel first. We had our favorite tech of the year rewind collab. I call this a rewind collab because YouTube Rewind came out, which, by the way, maybe the most forgettable YouTube Rewind ever.
Do you think that's what they're going for?
I think, okay, when I looked at YouTube Rewind, I thought that this was what happens when you avoid something instead of going for something. So their entire thing was, don't get hated. Don't get hated on. Don't do something that people hate. If you do this, they're going to hate it. If you don't do this, they're going to hate it. So we got to do it this way so that people don't hate it. But what they didn't do was try to make something amazing. So really, if you go back and watch it, they're just counting down like the top, most viewed creators, most liked videos, go through a couple genres, ta-da-da. I mean, it's super forgettable, but it is Rewind. So.
Yeah, I would say last year's was hated. This year's was disliked, which is like a step forward.
That's fair.
Casey retweeted some guy that made his own version of it, and
there's
it was
a couple.
Great.
So there's a couple creator-made rewinds, and you sort of expect that around this time of year. One of them was, like literally like in the style of Rewind, where there's animations and shout-outs to big moments during the year. And another one was an entire musical that sort of shouted out different moments and creators. So that was fun. There was actually I'll try to link it in the show notes. There was the musical gave me a shout out. Something about Marques gets interviews with Elon and Bill. That was like the line in the musical, which was really funny.
That's
so
awesome.
I'll share that as well.
Yeah.
We had a tech rewind, which was 20 of my favorite creators going through their favorite piece of tech they discovered in 2020. So everyone from Sean Evans to Philip DeFranco to Simone Gertz to whoever, a lot of people that are in tech and that are sort of around tech. When you're a creator, you're just sort of around tech.
Yeah.
And some of their favorite tech. And it's not as predictable as they thought. I think I reached out to a lot of people thinking, we're going to get iPhone a lot. We're probably going to get AirPods a lot. And it was surprisingly, I don't think anyone picked AirPods. And we got a lot of random stuff. We got the ZenBook in there. We got the DJI Osmo Mobile.
That's one I was surprised about when I was listening to Phil's podcast with you on my flight back. I was like, he was like, oh yeah, and I was talking about blah blah blah, this piece of tech, and he said that, and I was like, oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that's one specific thing where I can see that has like a personal, like he has kids.
Yeah.
And like walking around trying to chase your kids with a video camera is really hard, even with a smartphone. But having it stabilized like that is definitely important. So you could tell that that's something that he used a lot this year. So yeah, if you haven't seen that already, check it out. It's literally 20 people in a row saying what they like this year, so it's pretty sweet. We also came out with a video testing T-Mobile's low-band 5G, their 600 megahertz 5G network. This was an interesting... It was more of just like a fun shoot. We sort of owed people an update to the 5G Explain video anyway, where we went through Verizon and their millimeter wave technology, which had all sorts of sweet pros. 2,000 down is awesome.
Yeah.
But all sorts of interesting cons, like if you walk around a corner, it doesn't even exist anymore.
4 steps away from your 2,000 down, you don't even get it.
Exactly. So the T-Mobile strategy, which they were so kind to share with us beforehand, and we were some of the first people ever to test it, and as you can see in this video, is they're rolling out low-band 5G, which is blanket coverage using a spectrum that travels really well. So these towers you can drive miles away from and still get 5G. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. We drove around, happened to be in a 2020 McLaren GT, happened to have a lot of fun with that too. But yeah, we did get 5G pretty much everywhere, but you're looking at maybe like 60 to 150 down, which a lot of people sent me replies afterwards saying, oh, I already get that now with 4G. Great. I typically don't.
Yeah.
I usually get somewhere from like 10 to 30 on a good day, but that's where they're starting, and then they're working their way up to mid-band and eventually doing millimeter wave in like more populous areas like cities and transit stations, things like that. Then you'll get there. A lot of people getting 2,000 down, but yeah. So that's what that video was. I don't think there's any really follow-ups or fact checks.
I think the moral is, if you really want us to do a video on something, just let us drive in a supercar for a little while.
It's a pretty good strategy. Yeah, not gonna lie. Also, 2 episodes of Retro Tech finally are now live. They're going live for free every Monday at around noon. The first episode was on the camcorder, so the JVC GRC1, the one from Back to the Future. And the second one was on the 1984 Macintosh with iJustine and Bill Nye and others. It's just a good time. So those 2 episodes are up.
Yeah, and to clear that up, since I feel like you've made it very clear already, but there's still, we get in our subreddit posts all the time and people on Twitter, it's not everything is going to be free. Right now, if you have YouTube Premium, you can watch all of them and not have to wait.
You can binge.
Yeah, but all of them will be out free.
Yeah.
The main thing Marques said before he even jumped into this was, I will not do anything that's strictly behind a paywall.
Yeah. Oh, this is something we talked about before we even started to shoot this. When YouTube came to me, they're like, we should do an original. And I was like, I've seen the originals. They're really cool, but the number one rule on the internet is don't charge for something that was previously free, and you're going to have a hard time. So I'm not going to do an original if people can't watch it for free. And like months later, they changed their policy to do originals that you can watch for free. Yeah. So yeah, you can watch them. Monday is the release days.
They'll all come out eventually, if you're wondering.
And they're great. I think the next one, I'm not even going to spoil it, but you'll see. The next ones are also really good. Okay. Mac Pro came out.
Yeah.
And when I say came out, I mean it's on Apple's website now. You can buy it now, and it'll ship in a couple weeks. And the Pro Display XDR also, which I think is hilarious, is right now, if you look on Apple's site, if you try to buy a Pro Display XDR and a stand, you'll get the stand in about 2 weeks, and then you'll get the monitor in like the middle of January. So you just kind of have
Just to remind you.
$1,000 stand sitting around on your desk waiting for the monitor. No, yeah, we saw it coming. It's out now, and I did sort of a 2-week first impressions video since I've been using it. So it's a second impressions video. Been using it for 2 weeks, and I've really, really enjoyed it. So the spec you would expect. See, here's the thing. They didn't tell me, right? They said, hey, Marques, we have the Mac Pro coming out. It's going to be in December sometime. Do you want to test it? Yes. Okay, so we get in touch. We arrange everything. They also said, we're going to send you 2 Pro Display XDRs. Do you want one to be matte and one to be glossy?
Did they really ask that?
They asked that, and I thought about that, and that would have actually been interesting. I think John did this because you can actually look at them side by side, see the difference between the glossy one and the matte one. But I was sitting in front of an iMac display at the time, and I was like, look, I already know what glossy looks like.
Yeah.
Let's just get 2 matte ones in here. So
I get it for
matte
comparison's sake, but for actually wanting to like use it for an extended amount of time,
yeah,
it would drive me crazy if I had a
crazy.
matte and a glossy, like actually using them side by side.
Yeah,
together.
Yes. So they're both matte. And they sent the spec. So the spec, as you guys saw in the video, is a 28 core, which is maxed out, the highest end CPU they offer, 2.5 gigahertz base clock. Xeon chip, 384 gigs of RAM, and that's,
not bad.
I think, 6 DIMMs taken, 6 DIMMs populated, 6 DIMMs open. So I could just double that up real quick and have 768 megabytes of RAM. But that's the beauty of a tower. You have
760 gigabytes.
Sorry, gigs.
Yeah.
Did I say?
Big
I
difference.
said megs, yeah. Gigabytes. Jesus. And then you have all your Vega GPUs and all this other stuff. You can watch the video if you want the full specs. Interestingly, the 8 terabyte model doesn't ship yet. It's not an option to select. So 4 terabytes is the max that you can actually order right now, but I will not be ordering until I can get 8 terabytes.
Cool. So we both found it kind of interesting. Reddit and this video and talking about this video were polarizing. Is that one way of putting it? I don't. The comments were interesting.
Well, anytime you look at it, the point I was getting at was I didn't know what spec they were going to send me. They sent me that spec, and I didn't know what price my spec was as I'm testing it. So there's no way for me to evaluate price. All I know is, hey, this starts at $5,000 or whatever. But they sent me a totally different spec from the base. So when it comes out, I can spec it out on their site, and the computer I've been using costs $28,000.
Yeah.
So now that I have that context, you know, my video's already out there, but now I'm starting to evaluate, is it worth it or not? But yeah, like you mentioned, so Reddit, anytime you get a $28,000 Apple computer, you're going to have some people who feel a certain way, one way or the other.
I mean, it's super expensive. The thing is you have to base on, is it worth it in the sense of time saved? And like so I think the most interesting post on Reddit was somebody doing the math of the time you saved over the 5-minute unedited clip that you put in the video. They took that, times it by the number of videos you made in a year, and came out to X amount of hours saved based on what that was. But even that isn't getting even close to the amount of time saved.
That would be only if I was making 5-minute unedited videos, I would save that many hours.
And if you're only ever exporting one time for it, which like a lot of time, that is true. But when we do sponsored stuff, even for the like 60-second ad spots we do, and this is a reason why we hate doing a lot of them, is like
back and forth.
You make everything, the 60-second ad spot to exactly what they ask you to do. You export it, you send it to for approval. They come back with, can you say this one more thing in there? Bring it back in. You have to export everything again. It's happened 4 or 5 times to us before, to the point where
plenty of times.
I think we've ditched ad spots because we just wanted to push the video out and it was getting annoying. So like, it saves a ton of time. Is it overkill? Is one of those words. Like, it's probably overkill. You could do all of this on the iMac Pro. You can do all of it on a MacBook Pro, but eventually you're saving time. You're saving your own sanity at some point. It's like when it's midnight and we're exporting something,
that's when you really feel it.
Yeah, we'd like to go home. It's not just keeping Marques here. It's keeping all 4 of us here sometimes. And so sorry, little rant.
No, I feel that. You have to respect the scalability of this computer. So there's a couple different ways to think about it. One is a lot of people, and I say people, but really companies that are going to be getting these. This is miniature as far as expense in terms of like the production. Like when you look at like a Netflix show with a couple $1 million budget, where like, oh, we didn't finish shooting, we need a couple more days and maybe a few $1 million more to finish shooting this. Like the couple Mac Pros that they get for it, it's not exactly, you know, killing them. But that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be expensive. So when you come down to this level where, you know, we're YouTubers, we make these pretty heavy projects, but they're not like movies with GFX. They're like, I have a Final Cut Pro workflow and I have 8K footage that needs to be transcoded. The fact that I still see that dramatic of a difference, and that I will continue to see that difference over and over and over again for 100-something videos every year, is massively impressive. So like we were saying, that clip where we tested the render times was a 5-minute unedited, just one single clip from a Red camera. Drop that on the timeline. The 16-inch MacBook Pro, high-end, exported that in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Take that same 5-minute unedited Red clip, drop it on the timeline. Again, background rendering off, same exact thing. 18-core iMac Pro. So now this is the highest-end iMac Pro, the most powerful Mac you can buy before today. And that did it in about 10 minutes. So that's already a massive amount of time I'm saving. That's why I'm flying with an iMac Pro when I have these big videos, because I'm not doing a 5-minute unedited clip. I'm doing a 12-minute clip with tons of things happening, color correction, LUTs, graphics, all this stuff. And so that 20-minute export becomes an hour and a half, cut down to 40 minutes, right?
Yeah, and that's super beneficial when we're in a hotel room exhausted from traveling and it's 11:30 at night.
Man, editing. I can't tell you how much pain I've gone through with like an Apple event. And I'm sitting and I have all the footage and it's edited and everyone's waiting for the video, and I finally finish it. I hit export and I start to time it out as it goes from 1 to 2 to 3%, and I can really just go to sleep and wake up the next morning and then upload it, which is rough.
So like it affects us for multiple reasons. Like one of them's potential view count on something. Like we go to an event, like an Apple event where the embargo is right after, even something like CES where those export times could potentially mean something getting out late. Or at CES, we almost missed an appointment last year because we were exporting a video and trying to upload it before we went to it, which wound up the video we almost missed was the self-driving taxi appointment.
Yep.
It was a great video. So just because of waiting for something like that, we almost missed a whole nother video. So like,
and that was the iMac Pro. So I guess what you're saying is we should bring the Mac Pro to CES.
Oh man.
No, yeah. So to wrap that up, the Mac Pro with that same 5-minute unedited clip, 28 cores, churn through that export in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So it was, again, cutting it in half from the iMac Pro. So again, when you scale that up, you can't forget to scale it up. When you scale that up to what would have been a 45-minute export, now you're looking at a 19-minute export, and like finding mistakes and doing other things and redoing it. All of that scales massively. So when you put it in the context of scale, the Mac Pro is a worthy investment for someone, even in my position, which is like a Final Cut Pro workflow.
Can we also talk about how long it took the last Mac Pro to get a reiteration?
Oh, yeah,
you're future-proofing at this point. Like the last Mac Pro was released in 13?
Yep, the trash can.
So what if we don't see another Mac Pro till 2025? Like that big upgrade now is going to be really beneficial in 2023 if there's still not a new Mac Pro out.
Yeah. So this so if someone's going to be getting a Mac Pro, which I am, there's a couple things that you can definitely upgrade, and then there's a couple things you probably will want to just get now. I will definitely be getting the 28 core, like no doubt about it. I have no problems with, because the Mac Pro doesn't necessarily feel like snappier and faster. It's more about like those heavy workloads it's pushing. It's like a pickup truck instead of a sports car, whatever you want to look at it. It's like a Cybertruck. So you have your CPU, and yes, you can upgrade it later, but I'm just going to get the high end one. The RAM is one of those things you don't have to do now. I might just get 384 gigs of RAM. That's hilarious that I said that sentence.
Yeah, like it's not a lot.
Yeah, like I might only get 384 gigs of RAM, and later down the road, when I can fill in the rest of those DIMMs, because half of them are empty, then I will end up with the 768. I I don't even think I'll ever need
we're not doing
a half of RAM.
a lot of like multiple programs open and stuff like that it requires quite as much RAM.
Yeah, it's not really about the amount of RAM at that point anymore for me. And there are some apps and some workflows that will take advantage of that. Mine is not one of them. Final Cut Pro is really looking at CPU and GPU. So I will also be right out the box getting the dual AMD Vega Pro 2 GPUs. So that's something that you look at, again, now that it's a tower and you can upgrade it. You couldn't do that with the Trashcan Mac Pro. Sure. You think of this having maybe an 8-10 year plus life cycle. This is actually not the worst thing ever. So I know a lot of people. Also, there's a tweet I just replied. Who said that? Supersaf said, fun fact, 99.9% of people complaining about the price of the Mac Pro would have zero intention of actually ever buying one regardless of the price. And this is 100% true.
Yeah.
This is so true. Anyone complaining about the price of the Mac Pro, not that you don't have any justification, but is this really something that most people actually need to consider buying? Probably not.
No, not at all.
So anyway, that's the Mac Pro. We do have a Pro Display XDR video also coming up soon, and I don't know exactly the timing of it, but all this stuff is on the channel, and the full reviews I think will take a little bit longer just because this is one of those things you really get into the workflow of, and you start to see where the limits are, and you push it in different types of experiments. And here's what I'll say. Hit us up on Twitter with any questions you guys have about these two things, the display and the Mac. Because my workflow is just one, which happens to be video editing, and a very specific type of video editing. So if you have other workflows or things you have questions about or things I should test, or even other benchmarks I should run, hit us up on Twitter. And that's where I'll be checking those out. Yeah. So those reviews will be coming up soon. I just want to ask, have you seen the rumors of the Portless iPhone for 2021?
When did we talk about this? Was it right when I got back? Yeah, I saw the rumor. I think we were both walking out to the car after the day, and you were just like, "Oh, did you see?
By the way,
iPhone's going to be portless." And I was like, "Yeah," and I just shut my car door and drove away.
Head down. Single tear rolls from eye.
I think it's like, who was it? Quinn that made a tweet that was just like, Apple hates USB-C so much that they'd rather not put a port on than put USB-C
It's
on.
funny because they embrace USB-C in so many other parts of their business to the point of maybe too much, right? They got rid of full-size USB on the MacBook Pro years ago.
Yeah, and even the MacBook Pro charging cable, the brick is USB-C.
Yep.
It's not even A into C.
Yeah. So that was my favorite tweet, is my own tweet, where it was like, "Hey Apple, you could probably update the port on the iPhone, right?" And Apple's sitting over there like, "Don't make me do this." We're like, "Yeah, this Lightning's getting a little bit old. Maybe you want to update that." And then they just go, "No port." I guess here's what I'll say about that. It makes sense, as much as it hurts to say that. It makes sense when you look at the direction Apple's been going, especially with the iPhone in particular. They've been sort of on their way towards no buttons and no ports at all. They got rid of, they still have all their buttons, but they obviously got rid of the headphone jack.
Yeah.
And they seem to be shrinking that speaker, and they're on their way. I think the worst part of not having the Lightning or USB-C or anything at the bottom is actually charging.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really plug in my iPhone into my computer that much anyway. And honestly, I can't remember the last time I did. But I do not always use wireless charging.
Really? The only time I don't use wireless charging is in the car because my mount.
That's one big.
I know you can get mounts that are wireless charging. I probably should get one because it makes a lot of sense. But that, and the only other thing I can think of is, it's still charging, but portable charging banks. You can get wireless versions of that, but if I'm going to get a portable wireless charging thing because I'm going hiking,
not ideal.
Yeah,
throwing your phone in their backpack, connected to a charging bank is
gonna stay
fine
there.
Wirelessly. Is not easy, or it's fine with a wire. Sorry, it's not great wirelessly. And there's going to be a bunch of other reasons why this seems really impractical, and they're going to be memed. But the reason Apple, I think, could get away with this is the way I see it, is just like AirPods Pro and AirPods. When they announced getting rid of the headphone jack, they said, "Here's our future of wireless audio solution, AirPods."
Yeah.
What Apple needs to do is when they do actually get rid of the charging port, they need to be so far ahead on an incredible wireless charging accessory that it's undeniable that it makes sense to get rid of the charging port. Now, how good is Apple at wireless charging accessories?
Yeah.
How good is anyone?
Well,
but also the company that just killed their
yeah, exactly.
their
They
mat.
just killed
What's it even called? I forgot already.
AirPower.
AirPower. They killed AirPower, but they're totally going to get rid of the charging port and offer another wireless charger.
It seems really strange.
Yeah. Well,
But here's the question. Which lower budget smartphone company hears Apple's going to do this and beats them out
to getting rid of the port. It's crazy. I don't know. Like, I know getting rid of the headphone jack, like I could see, it didn't seem that crazy to me at the time. Like when they got rid of it, they're like, yeah, and we can fit a bigger haptic motor and the bigger battery. And I was like, okay, I guess you could do wireless headphones and use that extra space. But getting rid of the only port on the phone left, I don't think any other manufacturer right now could rightfully justify it in 2019. Wireless charging's not good enough yet.
That's the thing, though. I don't think some of these phone companies rightfully justify some of the decisions they make. I mean, like, okay. And here's the thing is some of them, to me, I almost feel like you see companies like who's done it, like Vivo's done the pop-up camera and the under fingerprint display sensor. Like those are things we heard companies were going to do, and then Vivo comes out with it first.
Right.
It's not the best, but it's interesting for us to see where it might be going. And part of this in the back of my head makes me think it's like Samsung sitting back there and thinking like, let's let them push this out first. See how they do with it. Does it do okay? Okay, we're ready.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. For as many things that as Apple is like a slow, like second mover on, it's they would really have to be a first mover on some great wireless charging tech for this to actually be played off well. I also kind of think like it's possible that they've considered and maybe have plans to get rid of this charging port, but may scrap that plan if
I think
their
that's
wireless
very
charging,
likely.
Yeah, isn't good enough yet. So we'll see.
If the rumors for the 2020 iPhone are what we've seen, they can easily keep the charging port and still have enough other big changes to it that will still make the phone like one of the first phones you can, or like, a huge design change, like back to the 10 pretty much.
So they might as well just drop USB-C in it. Just one year of iPhone with USB-C.
Is that worse than just totally skipping it, giving you 1 year of it?
It's funny for the normal person, yes, because they're like, oh no, I need a new charger. Even though it comes in the box, they'll be like, oh darn, all of my accessories don't work.
Yeah, car charger.
Yeah, all that other accessories. But also, I would be totally fine with that. 1 year?
I think it'd be a huge tease.
It would be pretty funny. Okay, so let's take a quick short break and hear from our sponsors. And then next up, we're going to have our chat with Kevin O'Leary. We'll be right back. This show is brought to you by Cash App, the #1 finance app in the App Store. So you probably already know Cash App is the easiest way to send money to your friends, but Cash App does way more than that. Cash App also comes with the Cash Card, a free debit card that comes with Boost, which are like instant rewards for shopping at the places you already love. You can get discounts off your entire purchase at places like DoorDash, Whole Foods, Target, and way more. And Cash App is also the easiest way to try and grow your money with their new investing feature. So unlike investing tools that force you to buy an entire share of stock, Cash App lets you instantly invest as little or as much as you want. This way you can still own a piece of any stock with just $1. Brokerage services are provided by Cash App Investing, a subsidiary of Square and member SIPC. I'm also excited to be working with Cash App to support one of my favorite organizations, Team Trees. It's crunch time for this, so when you sign up for Cash App and use the promo code Waveform, you not only instantly receive $10, but Cash App will also donate $10, or the equivalent of 10 trees, to the Arbor Day Foundation /Team Trees, whose goal is to plant 20 million trees around the globe by January 1st, 2020. $10 for you, 10 trees for Earth. That's a win-win. So don't forget the promo code Waveform when you download Cash App from the App Store or Google Play Store today. This episode is brought to you by Simply Safe. So in some states, the week after Christmas brings the heaviest caseload for police. Break-ins spike every single year during the holidays because families are traveling, and burglars know that people have expensive gifts lying around. One of the best Christmas movies ever made was based entirely off of holiday burglaries. So what's funny is that only 1 in 5 homes have home security, probably because most companies don't make it very easy. Systems can be difficult to use, they might have hidden fees and long-term contracts, or even just astronomical monthly fees. SimpliSafe is a comprehensive professional home security at a fair price, and right now is the best time of the year to get a SimpliSafe security system. So for the holidays, you can get a huge discount on a security system and a free security camera. SimpliSafe protects every room, door, and window with 24/7 professional monitoring. So if there's a break-in, SimpliSafe can give real-time video confirmation, so police respond up to 3.5 times faster. There's no contract, hidden fees, or fine print, and prices are fair and honest, starting at just $15 a month. So don't end up like the McAllisters this Christmas, and go to simplisafe.com/wave now to take advantage of SimpliSafe's amazing holiday savings and get a free HD security camera. So this offer is for a limited time only, and it's ending soon, so hurry. That's simplisafe.com/wave to save big and get a free security camera. simplisafe.com/wave. All right, we're back. So we got the chance to talk to Mr. Kevin O'Leary, my personal favorite shark from Shark Tank. If you've watched Shark Tank, you've seen this incredible entrepreneurship-based show. I was doing a short video with him actually on his YouTube channel, which will be linked in the show notes. And I decided to, while I was there, I said, hey, you mind if we bring our own microphones and we set up a little bit of a podcast and just chat for a bit? And he was totally down, and he spent plenty of time. So that's what we did. Just a quick programming note before we start. You'll hear, of course, the conditions for the podcast are not totally ideal. We're not in a podcast studio. We just sort of brought the setup elsewhere, so the audio quality will sound a bit different, but that's okay. Also, I'm going to go ahead and put a quick language warning for the following interview conversation. So if you're listening with a young audience, you may want to cover their ears around 25 minutes or so, but that's not a huge deal. Either way, let's jump right into it. Okay, welcome back to Waveform. I'm joined by Mr. Kevin O'Leary, so I'll say Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, entrepreneur, billionaire, media head, tech head, guitar collector, pen collector, watch collector. I'm missing anything?
No, those are some of the passions I have.
Okay.
Nice diversity there.
I appreciate it. Thanks for joining me
Thank you.
on the show. So I feel like we just have to start just jumping into just investment stuff.
Yeah.
First thing that comes to mind, I just got LASIK 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Already, for me, best money I've ever spent.
Yeah.
What's the best money you ever spent?
The best money I ever spent was on myself, educating myself. A lot of people really debate about whether education has value, and what I learned from it, having gone through the process, that was expensive, particularly when I didn't have any money. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't about what they taught me in any of those classes, or, I even did an MBA, which I don't remember any of the lessons at all. But I've met so many different people going through that journey that, to me, that was the best investment I ever made. And it let me, life is serendipitous. You don't know what's going to work. And it let me explore a lot of different options until one path took me into an opportunity. I'm an entrepreneur, so I keep telling people it's not about the pursuit of money and the greed of money. That's not what it's about. It's the passion of something you love. And most of the guys I talk to that wake up really wealthy one day, they never saw it coming, and I didn't either. We sold our company for $4.2 billion, and I was working that day, and I kept working after we sold it too. And I just remember saying to myself and the other 9 guys that were with me that, we had built this together, I said, we're really rich. How'd that happen?
Happened sort of quickly there.
And it didn't change much. It really didn't. And it just happened that way. And that's what I've learned now. I tell people, it's not really, if your goal is just to be filthy rich, that's a bad investment. If your goal is to be free, that's a good pursuit.
So we were just chatting on your YouTube channel, which if anyone hasn't seen it yet, it'll be in the show notes. Definitely go check it out. And one of the things we mentioned was, the relationships you build in college are some of the best things you get out of it. And you said you went to business school after you got your undergrad degree, is that right?
Yeah, I got my undergrad in environmental studies, and my pursuit was I wanted to be a photographer and a film producer after that, and my dad said, you're going to starve to death. You're just not that good. And if you got the basis of business, maybe you could pursue one of those things. And I argued with him for a while, but he was right, and I went back and did it. And remarkably, I got success in consumer software, educational software, advancing math and reading scores for children. Ended up being a very, very big business. And after the exit of that, I went back and bought myself a bunch of production equipment and an editing table for film to go back to what I really wanted to try, and now more as a hobby. So I became a photographer for a while. My work is sold for charity, which is great. It sort of, I got to show my dad that, look, I made it.
Yeah, check out this film. Yeah.
Yeah, that was sort of part of the motivation. But and I pursue a lot of different things in the arts that I really enjoy. But I'm primarily now an investor helping young Kevin O'Leary's. I see myself in my 52 companies that I've invested in.
Wow.
Guys like you.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sort of saying, look, I think this is a good idea. I know it's a really hard path. Let me buy a piece of it and let's take the journey together.
Right. I love that. And I'll also say, don't tell the other sharks, but I'll also say that you're the person on Shark Tank that I've learned the most from. And I went to business school too, so I learned a lot from all these various professors about different, very specific topics. But as far as like day-to-day, like how to invest, how to give good advice as an investor, I feel like I really do appreciate that. So,
you know, I've tried to be honest on Shark Tank for this last 11 years and not pander to people's emotions. We often get people that can't take the truth, and we've had all kinds of crazy stuff happen on that set where they just break down crying, realizing it's the end of a journey for them in many ways. But it's not the end of your life. It's just the end of that deal. And you have to realize failure is part of the entrepreneurial journey. But what really makes me angry, and I tell Barbara this and Laurie all the time, who's sat on either side of me, when you tell somebody, look, you keep going, I think it's wonderful that you're trying, but I'm not going to invest in you, that's disingenuous. The reason you're not going to invest, it's a really shitty deal, and it's going to go to zero. Why not tell them that?
tell them that, yeah.
And they say, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Screw their feelings. Tell them the truth, because that's what they really need.
Sometimes getting your feelings hurt is actually the most effective way at like getting a point across, especially when it's such an important thing to hear at such an important stage in their business when they're really evaluating it and seeing if it's good or not.
Yeah, I don't care about their feelings. I care about their money.
Yeah.
And I think I'm doing them a great service helping them realize that this path is not the path to success. And that's a constant tension we have in Shark Tank. And I get a lot of hate mail for being the nasty, mean shark.
No way.
I'm the nice shark because I tell the truth, and everybody else is, to me, being disingenuous.
Being too nice.
Yeah.
So as a shark, I have to ask you about something in tech, which is like the platforms like Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Where when you get Kickstarters where companies are sort of emerging as a startup and they have this great product idea and they've presented it as if it's already a product, but it doesn't necessarily exist yet, how do you feel about people investing in those and trying to get in early on a product that doesn't exist yet? What do you think about platforms like that?
So you may be surprised with this answer, but I'm not a big fan of those platforms, and I'll tell you why. If you look at, there is a bunch of people that professionally play that game now. They produce very slick videos.
Yeah.
They basically buy those production services to raise a whole bunch of money on ideas that may not have any merit at all. That to me is scamming, and I see lots and lots of it. And everybody's always telling me how they, did 200,000. Their budget was 25,000. They did 200,000 on a Kickstarter or another platform, Indiegogo or whatever. And to me, that's not a product tested at all. What I care about is getting 100 users of your product or your service or your tech,
Really
and looking at the reviews of what they say, that they're actually using it. Everything else is bullshit. And that's what I tell them. So I'm not impressed with you. You spent 10 grand to go raise 50 with some slick guy that knows how to play the platform. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I see this all the time in specifically in like Indiegogo and Kickstarter, where like they'll come into the tank and say, look, we just raised this much money on this platform and now it's worth this much. But I'm with you. You need the actual product, and then the reviews, which I have a soft spot for, are super important to actually evaluating if your idea is good enough or not.
I get that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I do a lot of now. Because on Shark Tank you get a lot of consumer goods and services, even in tech. There's people trying to advance things, but mostly to consumer services. And their biggest problem these companies have is customer acquisition costs, and I can help them immensely there. I mean, I'm not an inexpensive investor, but if Mr. Wonderful invests in your company, you're going to get on a lot of television programs. That's going to happen. But the one that I really like to work with is, let's say you get a product. I'll give you an example. There's one called Blue Land, which learned how to crystallize detergent. So you could take a small crystal tablet and get a glass bottle and drop it in, and then you had detergent, or you had a hand soap, or you had a surface cleaner. So you're cutting back on the 50 billion bottles of plastic that are coming out, which is stupid. So that's a hot deal. A lot of big VCs put money into it. And I said, look, guys, I'll invest in your company, but what I want to do with it is I hear your vision, but it isn't tested yet. Let's go come with me, we'll do a show on QVC together, we'll sell it to 6 million people, we'll get a couple of $100,000 worth of orders, and we'll listen. And they'll tell us what they like or don't like. And that's exactly what we did. And lo and behold, we learned a lot.
Yeah.
Our assumptions were wrong.
Okay.
And now we know exactly what to do. But to me, it's use the platforms like a QVC, which nobody even thinks about. That's 6.2 million people ready to buy stuff every minute.
Yeah. So
I have a show there, and I bring a lot of my products, and I learn. And I say, whatever you thought you knew, watch this.
Yeah. And you get a lot of feedback from that.
Big time.
Okay. What do you think about tech companies on Shark Tank? Because there's a lot of different genres of companies, various products. A lot of new companies now are tech related in some way, just because tech is in everything.
Yeah.
Do you look at tech companies differently? Do you look specifically for more protectable IP or things like that when you look at a tech company?
It's a great question you're asking, because we are now getting, particularly in the season that you haven't even finished watching yet, a tremendous amount of tech. And there's 2 reasons that's occurred. The first reason is that the big VC companies that have invested, even sometimes around 4 of these tech companies, have realized that Shark Tank has a massive global platform. And so if you're trying to launch new tech and you want it shown in 34 countries and you want 10 million eyeballs to see it and you want to acquire some customers for free, there's only one place to do it, and that's on Shark Tank.
Right.
So that's step one. So they come on and they say, look, our shareholders now understand why there's value here and we're willing to do a deal with you. Now, our last round was 15 million pre-money, and we want you to put in $1 million. And that's when it gets really interesting, because I say, I don't give a shit what the last round was. There's only one Mr. Wonderful. And if you're going to get a deal from me, this is the value I bring to the table, and this is what I'm willing to pay.
Yeah.
And they say, oh my goodness, we'd be diluting our shareholders. I said, hey, what do you want to do? That's where the tension starts. And I've closed many of those deals and brought a lot of value to them.
Yeah.
But tech is now about 30% of the deals that we're getting, pitched.
Okay.
And you'll understand this better than anybody else. It's hard to explain tech sometimes. They basically need you to pitch their product, because some of them really suck at it.
It's tough. A lot of the most knowledgeable people at these tech companies about the product want to also be the one that goes on stage at the event or that gets on stage at Shark Tank and explains it. But one of the most important things I found with tech is having someone who can articulate it in a way that a normal person will understand the value of it. Have you found that to be something common? Like, very frequently people get on stage?
More than common. It is both a blessing and a curse, actually.
Yeah.
Because the tech nerd guy can really be bad television.
Right.
And so bad that episode never airs. So, you have to think through. You've got to find that person in your organization that can stand up in front of those sharks and deliver a perfect performance that captures the producers to say, wow, that was energy. Because if a guy comes out, we had an amazing technology that hasn't aired yet that I'm putting in fact, 3 of us are investing, and we're putting a sizable chunk of cash into, and I really love it.
Okay.
And I'd love to tell you about it, but then I'd have to kill you.
Yeah.
But you'd like it too.
Okay.
It solves a big problem that even Apple couldn't figure out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so these are 2 dudes that just took it from a different direction, and that's what often happens with a new technology. But they struggled to explain it. And it was such a great deal that we kept giving them another chance and another chance and another chance.
Because you saw something in there that was potentially
but finally
awesome.
said, switch places. Let's hear from the guy who's not saying anything. Maybe he's better. Maybe he can tell the story. And lo and behold,
It breaks it down.
yeah.
Okay.
That's it. And so that you just never know. Television is that wicked master. You just don't know.
Yeah. We mentioned we shot that YouTube video for your channel where you said you've worked with Steve Jobs before, or you worked for Steve Jobs.
Well, I was his largest provider of educational software.
Okay.
In all it was 110,000 schools in America. They all had Macs at the time. Yes, I was his largest. Yes.
Yeah.
I worked for him.
What was that like? I had an interview recently when I talked about the 1984 Macintosh, and so we had people who worked with Steve specifically on that project.
I'm one of them.
On the 84 Mac?
Well, we were providing software back
For
then.
that Mac, okay.
Yeah. That's the early iteration.
What do you remember about that company under Steve and working with Steve at that time?
Well, it was the Woz and Steve,
Right.
because sometimes you propose something that the technology couldn't do, and Woz would know that. Steve, everything was possible. That's how he thought, which is a great thing about him. I would say back in those days, in the mid-'80s, the one thing that people don't remember about him is he cared about the art of the product. For example, I remember having this long dialogue with him about fonts on the screen. Just the presentation of the text, which no one cared about. You think about DOS in the early days and all the terminals.
Yeah.
And he just would go on for hours about, no, we have to have variable fonts. We have to be able to script the look of the screen. And this is not anything anybody could do at that time. TrueType was the first iteration that didn't exist.
Right.
And I used to say to him, Steve, I'm not going to spend millions of dollars on this idea you have to change just the fonts on the software. You have to understand what's capable and what people were willing to do and what they're not.
Right.
And we were always battling about that. He'd have a vision, and then I had the reality of having to develop it. It ended up in a meeting, and I'll never forget this, and you probably appreciate this. Mac was declining in schools. They were losing share. Steve had lost his mojo, and he was in a tough place. And my board said to me, the budget for Mac development this year is $24 million. And there's no reason to do that. Let's skip a whole year, no upgrades, because they're losing share.
Wow.
So Heidi Rosen was working with Steve, her sort of the right-hand person in software, and I called Heidi. She's still around. She's an investor in the Valley. And I said, you got to get a meeting with Steve. I got to talk to him. And I told her the problem. So we flew out there. I brought my head of sales, my head of development. And I said, Steve, you got to throw in $12 million, half the budget, or I'm just not doing it. And he went out of his mind. It was just, he went crazy and just started yelling insults at my team and abusing me. And I said, Steve, we're your partner. Like, what are you doing? And why are you abusing my people? Like, you can abuse me, but you don't. Blah, blah, blah. And Heidi was this ghostly white. And I've talked to other people about this. When he got passionate about something, he just kind of lost control a little bit. And it didn't end there. I finally said, I got to leave. I can't let you keep throwing these barbs at my people. This is nuts. And I walked downstairs, and it was in one of those buildings in Apple's headquarters where you couldn't open the whole window. You could only unscrew the little thing, and a little flap would open.
Oh, yeah.
And he saw me getting in my Hertz rental direct to SFO airport, and he sticks his head through, and he's yelling at me, screaming at me from, like, he can't even get his head through, and he's still going. I said, Steve, you're crazy. Like, that's crazy. I'm 50 yards away from you now. You got to stop.
Yeah. Wow.
I called Heidi on the way to the airport. I said, Heidi, what do we do? She said, how about $10 million? I said, okay.
All right.
That was the end of that.
Yeah.
But that's the genius of him and the insanity of him in that 1 hour. And I always tell that story. It would always make me nervous to go in a room with that guy. He was so crazy.
Right.
But look what he created.
But the passion of it is obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. There's many stories like that, and I just have one of them. But you can't run a company that way anymore, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, that would be.
Wow. Well, I think we saw what happened at Uber, right?
Well, there's a lot of companies that have had big shakeups. I actually want to ask you about just like the tech landscape in general. Do you have any favorites? I know you've invested in some versus just like the products, and you used to be in film, so of course you're into the camera world as well.
Yeah.
What kind of tech is your favorite in late 2019?
I like technology that advances entertainment. I've always felt that people that bridge the creative side with technology do some amazing things. And so, in music, there's been some really fantastic advancement in technology and how you can create music and edit music over the last decade. It's completely changed the ability for an artist to just sit, and record tracks in their kitchen that become, huge hits that we couldn't do before. And that's very investable technology because it's sustained by the art of it. I like anything that merges art with human passion. There's a lot of tech that doesn't do that. But if you were to ask me, do I invest in technology? Yeah, show me something that helps create better photography or helps, make life easier as an artist. I like to invest in stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. We talked about watches briefly, but I want to bring it back up.
Sure.
Because I've got an Apple Watch on here.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the best smartwatch on the planet.
Yeah.
But you have a very different watch on.
Yes.
That you feel very differently about. Could you explain why someone who currently has an Apple Watch should look into a collector's watch, or why watch collecting is even interesting in the first place to you? And,
well, I think you'll understand my answer, particularly for you. I understand as a major tech dude that you would have an Apple Watch on, like the other 50 million robots that are walking around. And that's the problem. That watch says nothing about you other than that you're interested in tech and you like the utility of having a piece of consumer electronics. But from an investment point of view, we'll just start there. That lost 25% of its value the minute you walked out of the store.
When I broke the seal, it lost even more.
Okay, so that is a problem. It also doesn't tell me who you are. It doesn't speak to your interests or what you covet or what you like about style or art. A watch says so much about the person that wears it, the kind of face it has, the design of it, the different. If you're an AP guy, that says something about, to me, what you like in music, for example. Or if you're a Patek Philippe guy, you're high style. I get that. If you're Rolex, you'd be playing Ultimate Frisbee in a Rolex because it can sustain the G-forces. It can do that. That would tell me something about, who you are. But that watch tells me nothing. That's just, you're just a robot walking down the street. And I wouldn't be caught dead with that thing on because that when you walk in a room, you're just, to me, 20% off retail. You have to build your value back. Explain to me why you got that. And so that's what you told me. You said, I like the fact that I can check the phone that's coming in and all that.
Yep.
I use lots of Apple products. I edit on Apple products. I've got dozens of Apple devices throughout my offices. But I'm not wearing that watch. There ain't no way that's ever going to happen. To me, that is like...
That is a big no-no.
It's taking away from all the things you as a guy can do. You don't get to wear jewelry much. Maybe a ring, maybe some cufflinks so you have a suit on, and then there's your watch, which says everything about you. So you should think about that.
All right, I'm going to have to get your watch recommendation for sure.
You should have a piece that says something about you. I think you should be a Rolex guy to start because you're working out so much. A Daytona, a steel-faced... a steel white-faced Daytona right now or black-face are the two hottest sort of sports watches. Okay. One is a little more stylish. I prefer white-face. You might like black-face because you're always in black.
Black for sure,
that's the thing.
Okay.
And believe me, I can help you get one.
All right. I'll reach out for sure. Last thing, I saw on one of your recent Ask Mr. Wonderful videos, or I think it was like sort of a daily tour you did where you had an iPad Pro, 2 Surface devices, and 2 phones all with you at the same time.
I do.
So what are you doing with each thing? Why are they interchangeable? What's the setup there?
So I have many, many different investments. One of them is in financial services, a company called O-Shares, which does ETFs, has about $725 million invested in it. It's a big one. And in the world of financial services, there's a huge issue around compliance. And so all the servers have to be compliant to the SEC, which is the regulator. And so when I do work on my financial services companies, I use 2 surfaces that are encrypted and secure with the Windows operating system that is tied into a network of completely compliant, completely encrypted, completely secure. And anywhere in the world when I set those up, nobody can with it.
Okay. Yeah.
And those are my business
machines.
And then, my son's going to FaceTime me, and he's going to do it on an Apple device, and everybody's, texting me. And so that's my other world. So when I set up in a hotel, I've got the 2 super secure server-based systems that I'm monitoring all these investments on. And over here is my entertainment section.
Yeah.
So the maid walks in and says, "What is this?" Like there's 4 screens up here.
Yeah.
And I'm playing like a harmony on them.
Okay.
And I've been able to drag, people say to me, "Gee, that luggage weighs a lot." I said, "Yeah, it's got like a moving office." But I need all that stuff because that's how I roll.
Word, I feel that. And smartphone of choice?
So you'll appreciate this. You would definitely get this. There are certain attributes of the Samsung 10 that I really, really like.
Is it the Note 10 or the S10?
The S10.
The S10, okay.
that I really, really, really like, and I really like, and I can't get them on the 11.
So you're talking ultra-wide camera.
Yes.
You're talking possibly headphone jack, depending on what year.
Yes.
You're talking OLED screen, unless you
Correct.
got the newest phone. And you're probably talking like much bigger, more exotic-looking screen with no notch.
Correct.
Okay.
You got it. You must be in this space.
I've had a hand in this, for a little bit. Okay.
So I can't give that up. So I now walk around the world with, and the other thing I found in every city, and you probably know this better than I, you need to have both AT&T and Verizon as you crisscross America.
Interesting.
You're in the hills in LA.
Yeah.
I'm not going to on either network. I'm just telling you one doesn't work there.
Yeah.
And in the streets of Manhattan, the other one doesn't work. And so I need to have both phones. Why these guys can't solve this problem, I don't know. Maybe 5G will do it. But these networks suck when you go to different cities. And I mean suck. They drop calls. They just completely crap out. I can't say enough bad stuff. But I'm not putting brand to brand. I'm just telling you one brand works in the West, one works in the East, and you get to Chicago, it's a whole different kettle of fish. It's where you are. And I think I can't say enough bad stuff. They got to fix this. And I travel every day, sometimes to 3 cities. I was in 3 cities yesterday.
Jeez. Okay, so you got one SIM card in your Samsung Galaxy S10.
Yeah.
And the other is the iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also have
that.
SIM cards in the tablets I've got.
It's the same setup here for me.
Yeah, so
it's for slightly different reasons, mainly because I have to keep it.
Right?
I have to keep a toe in
But which
both
one are you
pools.
doing most of your texting on?
My main SIM card, like the one that my friends have,
Yeah.
is in an Android phone, and that's because if I put this SIM card in an iPhone, the iMessage, it'll swallow that up, and I won't be able to take it out. And a lot of people have had the same problem, where if you take a SIM card from an iPhone and move it back to an Android phone, iMessage continues to pull.
What's going on with that?
So iMessage is their system that they've built where you can combine SMS.
Why is it why is it actually attached to the card?
It shouldn't, but it is essentially a glitch.
Which is freaking me out, I got to be honest with you, because it's happened to me. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's the reason why I refuse to combine them. And they should be able to fix it.
You're the guy that should be able to get that answer.
Maybe that's something I need to ask. Apple, why can't I guarantee that my texts will not go to this iPhone when I take the SIM card out? That's something I should look into.
Let me ask you another question maybe you're knowledgeable on. WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Like, that is becoming the standard platform around the world for a whole bunch of different groups.
Right.
And why is that happening?
So in these many different markets, WhatsApp behaves the same way iMessage does in the US, where everyone, no matter what hardware they use, can use the same messaging platform and just uses data.
I don't buy the encryption story. It's no more secure.
That's not why they're using it. It's the data. So they don't have to pay for, no one out there pays for SMS.
Yeah.
They're all using their data to send messages back and forth. So the same way we have Slack or GroupMe or whatever else you have in the US, the more people they can get on that one platform, happens to be WhatsApp, that's very popular.
Even as they pile more stuff, like more pictures. For example, the JP Journe Society, the guys that are hardcore for this watch we talked about, we use Slack to talk to each other. And we're all around the world.
Yeah. And
we're real hardcore guys. And we're sending videos and images, and we're just piling onto that network and costing them more and more that we don't pay for, right?
Exactly, yeah. And
so that's going to be a problem down the road, I think.
Well, WhatsApp doesn't have that problem. They just have built the app and the infrastructure for people to send the media back and forth, but it still goes through their carrier, whatever that carrier is.
So the carrier at some point may say, hey, guys, I have to charge you more for this.
That's probably what's going to end up happening, and we'll see if they adjust or switch back to SMS. But for right now, the cost and the load just makes perfect sense for that.
So you're walking around like I am with 2 phones all the time.
Two phones all the time. Yeah.
So, I mean, that may be the standard, right?
For certain people, yes. I think for most people, having one thing makes the most sense, but I can feel you on the 2 phones. So.
And where are you on tablets?
So I have one iPad Pro that I've almost leaned into also replacing my laptop. I really wish I had a better keyboard for it.
Yeah, the keyboard sucks.
I have the 11-inch iPad Pro, and I 95% of the time can do everything I want on it because I don't edit videos on my laptop. So
no, there's some things you can't do with it. You can't do video capture with a Snagit type software on a tablet.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen people try, but
Doesn't work.
It's not that great.
Gotcha on that one.
Yeah. So, no, I appreciate the insight and thanks for opening a little bit of a door. I'll say for people who want a little more of this type of conversation, you should definitely check out the video we did on your YouTube channel. And a big shout out to your YouTube channel, because there's not a lot of people doing both network television, like Shark Tank, at a level like that. And answering questions from people on YouTube. So
it's interesting you say that, because the journey into YouTube is very new for me. It's only months old, and you are right. It is a completely different world, and I think it's going to be a long time before somebody can actually work both of those at the same time successfully. Although I'm trying, but it's Ask Mr. Wonderful, and I appreciate you coming on. I think we're going to have some fun with that one. That was great.
For sure. All right. Well, thanks for being on Waveform. Okay, so that was a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and take one quick ad break, and next up, Andrew and I are going to do our little holiday gift guide 2019. Stay tuned. This episode of Waveform is brought to you by Policy Genius. It's already December, and as much as we love getting seasonal, this month can be a bit stressful too. We've all got a long list of things to do for the holidays, and so if life insurance is one of those things way down on your list, Policy Genius might be able to help you cross it off. And what feels better than crossing something off a long to-do list? Policy Genius will help you find the right life insurance at the best price and do all the work to help you get covered. Policy Genius makes finding the right life insurance a breeze, so in minutes you can compare quotes from top insurers to find your best price. You could save $1,500 or more a year by using Policy Genius to compare life insurance policies. Once you apply, the Policy Genius team will handle all the paperwork and red tape, and they don't just make life insurance easy, they can also help you find the right home and auto insurance or disability insurance. So if you need insurance but aren't sure where to start, why not start at policygenius.com. It only takes a few minutes to find the right life insurance policy, apply, and cross another thing off your to-do list. Policy Genius. When it comes to life insurance, it's nice to get it right. This episode of Waveform is brought to you by ShipStation. The holiday rush is coming, and if you sell stuff online, you better get ready with ShipStation. So with more people buying online than ever before, you have to be able to ship orders out quickly, efficiently, and affordably. But how do you keep track of all these orders or decide which shipping carrier to use or if you're getting the best rates? Luckily, ShipStation can help. So with just a few clicks, you'll be managing orders, printing labels, and getting those products out the door and delivered in time for the holidays. No matter where you're selling, Amazon, Etsy, your own website, ShipStation brings all your orders into one simple interface and making them really easy to manage from any device, even your cell phone. ShipStation works with all major carriers, including USPS, FedEx, and UPS, so you can compare and choose the best shipping solution for you and your customer. They offer big discounts on shipping costs, and now any business can access the same postage discounts that are usually reserved for large Fortune 500 companies, so you'll always know you're getting the best deal. No wonder ShipStation is the #1 choice of online sellers. You ship more in less time with the best rates available. So take the hassle out of holiday shipping this year. Let ShipStation help you handle it all with ease. So just use my offer code WAVE to get a 60-day free trial. So that's 2 months free of no hassle, stress-free holiday shipping. Just visit ShipStation.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and type in WAVE. That's ShipStation.com and enter code WAVE. ShipStation. Make ship happen.
All right. So you may have noticed usually we do some sort of content that both of us liked over the past couple weeks. But we decided we're going to do things a little differently this time. A lot of tech creators and just creators in general are doing some sort of gift guide for the holidays. So we decided to kind of do a mini version of that almost. We're just going to both tell you guys a couple things over the past year, a couple years that we've really liked that we can personally recommend as potentially a gift. This is the thing. I told Marques gift, and then we started talking about them. We're like, wow, you must really like someone if you're going to buy some of these.
Yeah,
so,
I feel like a lot of people, when you do a gift guide, you're like, give me something under $40 I can give someone, or give me something for $15. And a lot of tech is just not that good at that price.
Yeah,
so a
tough.
lot of my tech gifts, spoiler alert, are a little pricier.
Yeah, here's actually something I find funny about that. It's like, I feel like there's a lot of people who think about buying something technology related for someone, but technology is expensive, so they cheap out on something.
And then you get them a bad thing.
And yeah. It sounds so like
I
disingenuous
love the effort,
to Christmas.
Mom.
Yeah, the effort's great.
I appreciate the thought. That's the part that counts for sure, but also it's tech, and
tech is a tough thing to give to people because people are very specific about what they want. So
that being said, you have some pricey gifts for people.
We have some pricey. So here's my theory on it: is there's some gifts here for people, but like it's Christmas. you can gift yourself something.
Treat
the holiday.
yourself.
Yeah, treat yourself. It's like sometimes when it becomes Christmas time, I'm just like, you know what? I've saved. I haven't splurged on anything really that bad. It's like, I think I want this.
Treat yourself.
Yeah.
So this is
worth
Andrew's three gifts for Christmas brought to you by Treat Yourself.
Not sponsored.
Yeah.
Cool. Am I going first or are you going first?
You want to alternate?
Yeah, let's do it.
You first.
Okay. I'm going to go with my cheapest one first.
Same. Okay.
Also, mine's going to have a little bit of a theme going where I'm the gamer out of everyone in this studio. So actually all of mine are gaming related. I think we have a lot of gamers that watch and listen and they don't get a lot of love here. So here's your shot, guys.
This is for you.
This is for you.
Okay.
All right. My first one's a mouse. I play a lot of multiplayer games that I get really competitive in.
So it's a wired mouse with RGB and 75 buttons.
Not 75 buttons.
Okay.
But other than that,
right?
pretty close. Yeah.
Okay.
So for a really long time, I had been using a Logitech G303, which was very popular. But they discontinued it. I think you can only find them on Amazon for like $500 now because people are. Here's why. Shroud uses one, and everyone wants to use the mouse Shroud uses. And they stopped selling them, so people bought a bunch of stock and are selling them for a stupid amount of money.
Okay, that has a lot of parallels to the sneaker universe, so that's hilarious.
Yeah, kind of.
Wow.
The mouse was incredible. I wish Logitech would bring it back, but it's just a light mouse, fit in my hand perfectly. So even though mine still worked, it was beat to all hell, and I wanted a new one. So I grabbed the Glorious Model O, it's called. You probably know the company because they sent us some keyboards.
I like the keyboards.
So it's like this super lightweight mouse with a bunch of holes in it, which sounds really weird, but it's to make it, I think it's 68 grams. And we're Americans, so we have no
Ounces,
way of imagining
pounds.
that at all.
How many pounds is that?
But pretty much super light. The cable is this like really nice elasticy braided cable, so you don't get any like mouse drag. Sometimes when you're playing with a low sensitivity and a big mouse pad, if you're pulling really far to one side, it gets tighter the further you go away from where the mouse is coming. So a lot of people put it up on something called a mouse bungee, which is like a spring that holds the cable up in the air, and when you pull, it kind of pulls the spring down.
Oh my god!
And doesn't drag as much. It's all these things to make it feel as wireless as possible while still being wired and not gaining any latency.
Okay.
So imagine now you have a cable that almost stretches a little bit, and then you also put that on a mouse bungee, and then you also put these super smooth feet on the bottom of the mouse, and it just feels super light. It also looks great. They come in matte colors.
Okay,
so
you got me
matte
now.
black. Yeah, pretty
All
much
right.
got you on that.
Cool.
It's like $50. It's a really great mouse.
Right.
It looks great. The RGB on it's crazy because it has all these holes, so the RGB comes up through all the holes as well.
Classic.
Yeah, I've been absolutely loving it. I've tried a couple other mice since, and I've plugged it back in every time.
All right, so the go-to mouse. I'm gonna my first item is also a mouse.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Okay, so I have this is $100 mouse, so you have to really like this person.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the Logitech MX Master 3. If you know me, you know I've been using. That sounded like an ad a lot. If you know me, you know I love my Logitech MX Performance mice. No, but seriously, I've used them since the original MX Master, then the Performance MX, then the MX Master 2 and 2S came out. So this is the 3. It's USB Type-C, it's wireless, it's got almost the same sort of layout, but generally just improves a little bit ergonomically each time. Mm-hmm. Not nearly as much customization, but there are some software macros where you can have different buttons do different things in different apps.
Okay.
So in the Logitech software, I have a left to right scrolling as left to right scrolling everywhere, but in Safari, it switches between my tabs left to right because I don't have to sideways scroll on web pages. But in Final Cut Pro, that scrolls on my timeline. So, a little bit of customization lightly in there. I'm just a fan of the way the mouse feels in my hand. I guess I'm super used to it. So Logitech MX Master 3, get your significant other, your family member, get your dog an MX Master 3.
I actually remember an old video of you. I think it's like you and Lou at CES, and you forgot your mouse, so you're at like a Best Buy, going to find one, and it's just all the tech YouTubers there. Like, I love my MX Master.
It's the truth, though. See, that's the thing. In that video, I think everyone in that video at some point goes, "Hey, I also kind of love my MX Master." Yeah, back in the day. Yep. popular mouse.
Wait, can we test something?
Okay.
We have a scale. Let's see the weight difference between the MX Master and the Glorious Model O.
Okay.
All right, let me
I'm
grab
down.
it.
I'll get my mouse. Okay, we got our fancy scale here. You're weighing the Glorious O first.
Yeah, I think this says 70 grams right now. I'm assuming a little bit of the wire, and this is also the glossy version, which these mice are so light that the glossy version is actually a 1 gram heavier than
because
the
of
matte version.
The coat? Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
Also, I will say get matte. Glossy is not great. I don't like the feel of it.
Okay, so I'm holding it in my hand. It is really light, so I'm going to guess that the MX Master is 75 grams. Wait, you said...
Wait. 70 grams, and you think that's only 5 grams heavier?
Oh, sorry. This is 70?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Very scientific. 86 grams.
86?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. What? I must have the 2. Mine feels so much heavier than this.
Yeah. The 3 might be a little bit lighter just because the battery is a little smaller, but lasts about the same amount.
144.
So I was super duper wrong.
It's twice as heavy. Wait,
Wow.
I'm going to grab the MX2 now.
Okay.
This is going off the rails really
This is a
fast.
fascinating podcast segment. All right, MX Master 2.
2S. 152.
2S is 150. So they made it lighter by going to the 3. And it's still double the weight of the PCMO. Glorious, whatever it's called. Glorious Model O. Okay. Well, now I know. I have a heavy mouse.
Yeah.
Solid. Okay. So that's my recommendation for a mouse. What's your round 2 pick?
Okay. Let's see. Oh, my round 2 pick is by no means new, but I was thinking this the other day. I use them every day. I use them for gaming, but I don't think they're specifically meant for gaming. So it's the Sennheiser HD6XX, which is, I believe, a specific pair of headphones you can only buy on Mass Drop, or
Right,
I think
Drop.
they're just called Drop now. Yeah.
Right, I've seen this. Okay.
They're like $250, which is expensive, but when you think of Sennheiser headphones, it's relatively cheap.
It's also a pretty common price point in this world of headphones. Like you have your like premium noise canceling that's all like $300 to $350, and then like right underneath it is your $199 to $250. Yeah, okay.
So these are wired, and they're open back, so they're the literal complete opposite of like the Bose Quiet Comforts or something like that. But they sound so good.
Yeah.
They are so comfortable. So like the reason I like them so much is, one, they sound incredible. I've tried multiple other headphones, and just like they sound better, which honestly in gaming sound quality isn't that great. As long as you hear everything, you're usually fine, but they just sound great. 2, open back, I think is amazing for unless your house or something is noisy all the time. I'd way rather prefer open back, mostly because the amount of times, and I'm sure everyone has had this happen, you're playing a game, you're super into it, and someone in your house is trying to get your attention. Mm-hmm. They call your name, you don't hear it, so they walk up to you and tap you on the shoulder and scares the crap out of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get to avoid that if Claire calls my name, or if someone knocks at the door, I can actually hear it.
Nice.
And then just in terms of comfort, the padding, I don't even know what it is. It's some sort of cloth. It doesn't feel like anything great, but they're so light. They're so comfortable. Mine are like 2 years old and look like they've been dragged behind a car at this point, and I've never had to take them off because of discomfort. And I've played some long, long days of playing games.
Yeah.
So,
and I can vouch for that because I've listened to some of the Sennheiser 6 Series stuff for just like music testing, and they're really good. Honestly, I would probably be really into this pair for myself if I didn't already have this insane pair of 820s right here for like editing and listening to music. So I can vouch for the HD6XX, or just any like the 650 HD. These are also not the drop edition, but I think the XXs are matte black. So
yeah,
I feel like that's a pretty solid place to be. So good spot. I'm going to go with, I guess since we're keeping up with this theme, I'm going to go with some headphones.
We did not plan this, by the way.
But it works out pretty well. So you kind of have to really like this person to spend $250 on them,
or
for
really like
headphones,
yourself,
or treat yourself. Treat yourself with some AirPods Pro. Honestly, AirPods Pro really impressed me this year. Maybe a runner-up. I've talked about it before as like, you know, one of the most popular like viral products of the year, right alongside Cybertruck as like instant notoriety. Everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
The noise canceling is really impressive. I've seen people flying with them. I don't think I would fly with them, but if you have to fly with headphones and that's your only pair, you would not be very mad. Yeah, so if you know someone with an iPhone, that's definitely a pair of headphones that they would get a lot of use out of. So, I mean, that's really all there is to say. I reviewed them.
I have two things to say about AirPods Pro.
Okay.
One's funny and one's... So the funny one is the first time I've seen them in the wild was a guy working on the road in Belize during my honeymoon.
Whoa.
I saw... I'm assuming he was like a manager, like a production manager.
Or construction manager.
Construction manager, thank you. But like you can tell what they are very obviously with that line down them. And I'm like, we're just driving off into the jungle and on this like beat up road that they're doing construction on. And I'm like, are those AirPods Pro? Is this really the first time I'm seeing them? Is like
whoa.
In this other country in the middle of like the jungle? It was really strange. Yeah. And then the only other thing I could say is I've listened to them. I like them so much that I've debated swapping to iPhone just because I think they're that good.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That would be fascinating.
But I literally can't recommend them enough to all my friends who have iPhones. Yeah. And it like kind of makes me want an iPhone.
Yeah. No, they're really good. I do see them a good amount in New York City when I'm there. It actually to the point where I see regular AirPods now and I'm like, those look really big. Like the stem like sticking out of the ear because it's so much longer. I actually do like notice the longer stem more. Like obviously Apple's thought about this, but yeah, that's my recommendation for either someone you really really like or treat yourself.
All right, if you really want to treat yourself, okay. My way of potentially putting this in as a gift is maybe you're a parent and you have multiple kids and you want a group gift. Okay, does that make sense? All right,
sure.
I think so. Just like VR in general, I still don't think has made it quite to the masses. And I don't think the majority of people, if you walked up to them and said, like, have you tried VR? They would probably say no. It's a really fun experience. And everyone I've had try it has loved it to where, like, I really think it's something you can buy like a family or, you know, if you have a bunch of people living in a house together, maybe you're in college and there's like five of you living in the same house. It's just fun. And it's fun even if you're not the one playing it, if you're the one watching people play it.
Watching people play VR is actually really
it's almost fun. More fun than the actual VR. But like it's so easy to get immersed in. It's so immersive for one. It's really hard to explain, but it's one of those things where I think the best way to describe it is when you take the headset off, it's like when you have a really crazy dream and then you wake up and you're like, where am I? Even though the place you are is the place you go to bed every night. Mm-hmm. It's like we've played it in the studio and I'm on top of some mountain in VR and I take it off. I'm like, oh, I'm
wait. So which headset? Did you say which headset?
I haven't said. I just, so like I'm just saying VR in general. There's a couple different ways you can go for it. Okay. We use the HTC Vive.
Yeah.
We love it. That would be my recommendation, but I know like you generally have to have a pretty decent PC to be able to run it. And there are options like the PlayStation VR where I think it's more common that the average person has like a PlayStation 4 and they can buy it for that and experience. I know it has games like Beat Saber, which is my personal favorite.
Same.
But like VR in general is just super fun. And anyone who can get into it, even if you don't like gaming. Like my mom visited, I brought her to the studio from the airport and she played Beat Saber for like an hour and loved it. So it's just something that I think can be fun for the whole family. God, this entire segment sounds like the biggest ad.
It's really funny.
I'm so sorry to everyone
I love
out
it.
there listening.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, do your research on what sort of platform this person might have. Mm-hmm. Do they have a PC and a little bit of room for some sensors? Maybe a Vive, maybe an Oculus, maybe they have a PS4. You get a PlayStation. Yeah, this sort of thing. Do a little bit of research and then really treat them or treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
All right. I'll go. My last one is going to be a little bit lower in price. Google's, what is it actually really called? Nest Mini? Nest Mini? Nest Hub Mini? Nest Hub Mini or Nest Mini? I don't even know.
I think it's just
anymore.
Nest Mini now.
So the Nest Mini is $50. You can mount it on a wall. It's a Google Assistant speaker. And that's really all there is to it. Like, it's not like an amazing sound quality or anything crazy that it does. But if you just want to have something to like turn the smart lights on, if you just want to have a hub to be like the beginning of voice controlling your Nest, or maybe you have something else you want to control, this is like an easy way to get into smart home stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll caveat that with, you can also grab like something like an Amazon Echo Dot or a regular Echo or something like that. I think the Echo Dot is also $50.
Yeah, they're pretty cheap.
Yeah.
I think both of them go on sale pretty often also. Like I've seen Nest Mini down to like $30 before.
I think that's a legit, like, really good gift to get someone, especially if you know they haven't tried smart home stuff yet.
I feel like as a gift, some people might get it and be like, oh, cool. I don't really know what I'm going to do with this. And then in like 6 months, they'll be like, I have 7 of them now. There are 2 of them in my living
all over
room.
my walls. There's a little solid gift guide for anyone who you may be considering getting a gift for in the tech space. So you don't even have to know a nerd or someone who wants tech. You can introduce them to some sort of tech. This has been Waveform. What episode number is this? 11. Thanks for listening to Waveform episode 11. If you do want to go check out the pillows that we've collaborated with Throwboy on, I'll shamelessly leave those linked below. And also all the other stuff we talked about, the Portless iPhone, the T-Mobile 5G, all the other stuff will be linked in the show notes. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks in the next one.
Waveform was created in production with Studio 71, and our intro-outro music was created by Cameron Barlow.
Guys, I'll make this quick so you can get back to your murder podcast or whatever you're listening to. I'm Drama from Group Chat, the #1 podcast in the world. We make cool people smarter and smart people cooler. Seriously. Our topics range from Kim Kardashian to Jeff Bezos to Donald Trump and everything in between. If you want to be entertained and educated, check us out right now in the podcast app. Just search Group Chat. By the way, the ex-boyfriend isn't the killer. It's her best friend who is. Sorry for ruining that. But now that you have a little bit more time, give us a listen.